So today we're going to look at this week lab. I'm going to describe the material for this week lab briefly. So this week lab, we're going to learn how to use the input functions, perform some simple computations, and use built-in functions on lists. Okay. Just to do a very quick recap, this is an example that we have seen in the lecture, where we create a simple calculator, all right? Say, given a certain number, say x equals to 2, y equals to 3, I can print out the sum of these two integers is x plus y. So it will perform computation based on the value referred by x, which is 2, plus the value referred by y, which is 3. So when we execute it, we get the sum of two integers is 2 plus 3, which is 5. Now we can make it more interactive, okay? And interactive simple calculator, okay? Where for each variable, x and y, we ask user for input. So we have input, enter an integer, right? And for y, we also ask for user for an input, enter an integer, and another integer. Okay. Now we're going to perform or execute it. And for example, enter integer is 1, enter another integer is 2. The sum of two integers is not what we expected. That is because input, when you ask user for input, it is stored as string. Okay. So instead, you want it to be typecast to integer. So what you're going to do is that you can do int and put the whole thing inside the int. All right. The same thing here. I'm going to put int for both users' inputs. Now, what will happen is that it will ask user to enter an integer. And if the user enter 1, it will be stored temporarily as a string. And then it will further typecast it into int. So now the value of x is an integer. The same thing with y. It will first ask user for an input. Whatever user input will be stored as string, and then typecast it because we have another int function here. So it will typecast it into an int and store in the variable y. So now the sum of these two integers will be as expected. So 2 plus 3 will be 5. Okay. Now you're gonna do an exercise based on this as well. Say you are asked to create a program for a vending machine, a ticket vending machine. And I ask you to display the total price for a given number of tickets. And each ticket costs $25. So I have ticket price is equals to 25. Okay. And I need a variable to store number of tickets that I want to that the user want to purchase. So number of tickets is equals to, say, 10. Suppose the user want to buy 10 tickets. So what are the total number of tickets, total price? So the total price for this number of tickets will be the ticket price, the price for each ticket, times the number of tickets that the user want to buy. Okay, so we can print the total price for this number of tickets is for the price. Okay, so the total price for 10 tickets is $250. Okay, each ticket is $25, so 10 tickets will be $250. So remember, these print functions can take multiple values separated by a comma. So what it does is that it prints this, the total price for, followed by a space, and the value referred by number of tickets, which defined to be 10, and followed by another string, ticket is. So I have the total price for 10 ticket is, and followed by a space. All right, and the value referred by total price, which I computed using this in this line here, which is 250. Now, this is a completely fine code, all right? Now, whether you want to create a variable called total price to store this value, it's completely depends on whether in the future you are going to use total price again. So if you are not going to use the total price again in this program, so it's perfectly fine not to store this value in a variable. So instead, you can have this whole computation done inside here. Okay. And this is completely fine if you're not going to use total price anymore in any part of your program afterwards. Okay, so what it does, the same thing, it's gonna, when you come to here, it's gonna compute these values based on the value referred by ticket price, which is 25. And then this asterisk means multiplications. So times the value referred by the variable number of tickets, which is 10. So you will still get the same answer. The difference is now in this program, there are only 2 variables. In this program, there are 3 variables. Again, it depends on in the future whether you're going to use this variable. If in the future you're not going to use this variable, it's perfectly fine not to define it, but just to compute it and print it as it is. Okay. Now we're going to simulate a ticket vending machine by creating an interactive version of it. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Okay, except that now the number of tickets is based on user input. All right, so we're going to, this is, so to do, okay, get, so write out a get input statement, write an input statement to ask user for the number of tickets to buy. Okay, and as I mentioned before, when you do that, remember user input is stored as string, but the computation will require it to be multiplications of numbers. So we're gonna need to perform, remember to perform typecasting. Okay. And the rest will stay the same. All right. Now, so we also make an assumption here. So we assume that user always input integer value. Okay, a value that is represent integer. So what happens if user did not enter integer? For example, if I run this code where I use typecast int, if user does not enter a value that represent integer, say I do 1.5, I will get a value error because int doesn't work on a string that doesn't represent an integer. It will cause a value error. So at this moment, we don't handle this case. We'll assume that the integer, the user always enter value that represents integer. Okay. Next, we're gonna extend this our simulations of ticket vending machine further. Okay, we're gonna have 2 types of tickets. One is the adult ticket, which is $10. Another one is a children ticket, is a child ticket, which is $5. Okay, so we're gonna modify this code here. Okay, now we don't just have 1 ticket price, we will have 2 ticket price. Okay, so we have adult ticket price, say is $10. Okay, and we have the children ticket price, which is $5. Okay, and then we ask user for input number of adults ticket to provide. So we have number of adult tickets equals to where you will write an input statement. Okay, and remember to perform typecasting using int. All right. And also we will need another variable for number of children tickets. Again, this is for you to do. Just write another input statement that asks user for the number of children tickets that the user want to buy. And again, remember to use typecasting. And the total price, this will change. Okay, so the total price will be based on the number of adult tickets and plus the number of multiplied by the adult ticket price plus the number of children tickets multiplied by children ticket price. So perform. So this is for you to do. Okay, write an expressions to compute the total price ticket given the total price tickets, which is number of adult ticket times adult ticket price. Yes, these are supposed to be variable. Times adult ticket price plus the number of children tickets times the number of times the children ticket price. All right, so write these expressions in Python. Okay. Plus replaced by the plus symbols and times replaced by the asterisk, for example. And the rest, when you print out, is the same. Now, the exercise 3, we're going to look at, we're going to practice writing functions on list. Okay, so you are given an input of ticket sales for a month. Let's say the month has 30 days. And we count each day starting with 0. So day 0, I have ticket sales of 6 tickets sold. And day 1, I have 81 tickets sold. And day 2, I have 22 tickets sold, and so on. So I have a list of 30 numbers where each number represents the number of tickets sold on that day. Okay. So let's see if it's really have 13 days. Okay. So let's do length of day sales. This will retrieve the number of elements in this list called day sales here. And it has 30. Okay. And remember, we start counting from 0. So day 0 has 6. Day 1 has 81 tickets sold, and so on. So we are interested to find out what is the highest number of tickets sold. Okay. So this is for you to write. So the highest number of tickets sold is what? So hint, you use the max, just like what you did in today's lecture, where we talk about analyzing quiz 1, analyze statistic of quiz 1. So I'm going to copy here for your reference as a sample code. Okay. So this is your quiz 1, which represents the score of each student for quiz 1 in our class. And if I want to find the maximum quiz 1 score among all the students, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use max and the list name, which is quiz 1. So you can expect that when you want to do here, to find the highest number of tickets sold, we're going to do max day sales. The maximum values are in the list called day sales. Okay. And similarly, if I want to find, say, the day with the highest number of tickets sold. Now, for example, what we can do is to use dot index. So here is an example. So if I want to know, let me use this sample code here. Okay. If I want to find the index of the value 5 in quiz 1. Okay. Okay, so for example, I do print the index of score 5 is, so we're gonna do is quiz1 dot index 5. So this will give me the smallest index, right? So I'm gonna run this code. It's basically say that at index 6, we have a score 5. So we go for index 6, this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So index 6 has score 5. So the same thing here, if we want to look for the day with the highest number of tickets sold. First, find out what is the highest number of tickets sold. Okay, so say the highest number of tickets, for example, suppose it's 81. We're gonna do, so a hint here. First, use the previous, so you can separate them actually. Okay, use the previous code to find out the highest number of tickets sold. Okay. So this is hint. And suppose it's 81, which I'm actually not sure if it's 81, so you have to find out yourself. Suppose it's 81, and then you're gonna find use.index to find the index of 81 in day sales, in the list they call day sales. Okay, so this will be a hint for it. Okay, I'm gonna write it down. Yeah. Okay, and last two, we have find the lowest number of tickets sold is what? Now this is easy. The same thing as before. This is a sample code. If I want to find the minimum quiz1 score, okay, I use, instead of max, I use min. Okay, so the same thing. I'm gonna do min of the name of the list, which is day sales. And lastly, we have print the average number of tickets sold. Okay, this is, again, we have studied this in today's lecture to find the average score, which is here. Okay, find the average score, which is the sum of all students' scores divided by the number of students. So the same thing, I take sum of all the elements in the list divided by the length of the list. So the same thing, if I want to know the average number of tickets sold, I sum up all the elements in day sales. So I do sum bracket day sales divided by the length of day sales, which you're gonna do it here by yourself. All right, and that's all for today's, and I hope these sample codes will help you to do the exercise for this lab. Thank you, class.